Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's call. My name is John Paul, and I'll be your moderator for this event on veterans benefits and what the Department of Veterans Affairs is doing to ensure Tennessee veterans continue to receive the benefits they have earned. In a few short minutes, we'll start taking your live questions. If you'd like to ask a question, just press star 3 at any time. I'm pleased to introduce a very special guest we have on the line, Dr. Paul Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence is the Undersecretary for Benefits at the VA. He oversees almost all benefits for every veteran across the country. That includes everything from disability compensation to pensions to education benefits and home loan benefits, just to name a few. Pretty much any benefit you can think of outside of health care. Dr. Lawrence is a veteran himself. He attained the rank of captain in the Army, and he comes from a family of service members. His father was a career Army officer who served in Korea and Vietnam and is buried in Arlington Cemetery. He knows firsthand what it's like to enter into the VA system, and that's why he is working hard to make it better every single day. Dr. Lawrence, thank you first for your service, and thanks so much for doing this call today and being willing to speak openly with Tennessee veterans during this very difficult time.
Thanks, JP, and thanks for everyone who's joining us today to be with us. I'm going to take your questions live, so as JP said, if you'd like to participate or ask a question, press star 3 at any time, and we'll do our best to get to you. All I ask is keep your questions brief so I can get to as many Tennessee veterans today as possible. I'll be talking about the benefits available from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, but remember also the state of Tennessee offers benefits to its veterans. You can learn more by visiting the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services on the web at tn.gov/veteran or by calling them at this number, and I'll say it twice, 803-734-0200. Again, the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services, 803-734-0200. Now let me explain why we're doing this and make a request of our Tennessee veterans and their family members. We're doing this for two reasons. One, we're doing this because we are connecting because there are new benefits and programs that we administer. We want to reach out to veterans we may have missed in the past and let them know of these. And two, and most importantly, we want our veterans to know that VA is truly changing. We are far from perfect, but we are better today than we were just a few years ago. We continue to work to become more accessible, more accountable, and more agile so we can be more responsive to the challenges our veterans face. We know that in the past, some of our procedures were an obstacle to get benefits to our veterans. That's why I'm on a personal mission with full support of VA Secretary Wilkie and President Trump to make things better for our veterans and to make things right for those of you who feel we let you down in the past. Now my request of all Tennessee veterans. Please share this with your friends who are veterans or family members of veterans. Let them know we are here. We want them to give us a chance or a second chance to provide them with the benefits they've earned. Pass along the helpful information we share over the phone today. Encourage them to reach out to us and give them our toll-free number at 1-800-827-1000. You are our best allies ensuring we reach all those who have served. Now, JP, before we get to questions, let me talk about what we're going to do today.
Yes, sir.
For the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be taking questions. And my goal will be to get answers or take actions on our veterans' issues. Our VBA team of experts is listening in. I may offer at some point to have someone call our veterans back. We could very well need their personal information, or perhaps they're really asking a different question that, in the privacy of a one-on-one phone call, we can get figured out. If our team follows up with a veteran while we are on the call, we'll let our veterans know about that so that they know the attentiveness and the outstanding customer service we're trying to provide. And every 2 or 3 calls, I'll come back and provide information about Veterans Benefits Administration, important numbers, websites, or information that should help our veterans. So I'd encourage everybody to have a pencil and paper nearby if you want to copy something down. And also, if you miss anything, there'll be a recording of this session tomorrow at noontime on the VBA YouTube channel, Veterans Benefits Administration YouTube channel. So, JP, let's go to the call so I can help as many Tennessee veterans today as possible.
Yes, sir. I just want to repeat some general information first. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000 at any time to learn more about filing a claim or any other VA matters. I want to take a moment to relay the numbers for our crisis line, which is active 24/7, 365. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please call 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. Or if you prefer to text, you can text 838-255. That's text 838-255. And don't forget that at any time during this call, you can press *3 if you would like to ask a question. For our first question up, we have Marshall on the line. Marshall, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Marshall.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
I am 100% TDIU, and I was on pension first and had A&A, and when I got my TDIU, I filed for A&A, and I did it with a fully developed claim. And when I looked, they set me up for 2 C&P appointments, both of which make no sense because one is for my PTSD, which was just granted in December. So to C&P me for that on a fully developed claim didn't make sense. And the second C&P is for my back injury, which I've had for 8 years on VA. And so I'm a little confused why on a fully developed claim for A&A they would add my back and my PTSD as an increase and then send me to C&P.
Sure, Marshall. Well, I'm really glad we connected, Marshall, because as you were describing it, I was thinking the same thing as well. So for our veterans on the phone who might not have understood exactly what Marshall was talking about, he was talking about A&A, that's aid in attendance. That's if you need help to do your daily living. There's another benefit that helps our veterans there. So Marshall was asking about, if I've already previously had that, I've had my benefits increased, why do I still have to do this? I don't know, Marshall. That's a really good question. Part of what we're trying to do is not inconvenience our veteran as well as spend additional money on these C&P exams if we don't have to, and especially during the time we were dealing with the pandemic and we are not able to get our veterans to do C&P exams just because of the conditions. Nobody could be out and about, so to speak. We were trying to grant as much as we could from the medical record, Marshall. So I would like to learn more about this from you, Marshall. So I'm going to have our team give you a call so we can better understand what's taking place, because at a minimum we should explain what's going on. But if not, I'd like to have our team come back and maybe look at this and figure out what's taking place, because this is not my understanding of what our procedures are, Marshall. So thanks for your patience, Marshall, in taking us through this. Let me see what we can do. We'll have our team call you back and figure out what's taking place and see what we can do to better get this working the way it should. So thanks, Marshall. Thanks a lot. Let us call you and we'll figure out what's going on.
Thank you for the call, Marshall. And for our next caller, we have Diane on the line. Diane, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Diane.
Hi. I have a question for my husband. He has severe chronic kidney disease, and he has severe hypothyroidism. When will that be approved as a presumptive illness for Agent Orange?
Sure, Diane. So a couple things, Diane. So I want to make sure, and I'm gonna have our team give you a call just for a couple reasons, okay? I want to make sure your husband, does have access to benefits, and does have health care, and also if there's other benefits for you, if you are in fact taking care of him, that we have, there are new laws and new benefits programs. So Diane, I do want our team to follow up with you because I don't want to cut short when I just answer the question you've asked me, okay? So presumptives are established 2 ways. One, by us doing research on them and concluding they are, highly connected to folks' service and the conditions you're describing. The other thing, although I think what you're asking about, is before the election there was a bill in front of Congress where congressmen and women and senators were talking about getting this written into law, in which case it would be added by law. I do not think, if I remember this right, before the election, the law had not passed. They had not passed it. They were talking about it. So I don't know if it's on the docket now or into the next Congress. But, Diane, I do want you to know and other veterans to know that a presumptive makes it somewhat easier for our veterans to get benefits because they don't have to prove it's service-connected. However, if your husband has conditions, he and all veterans are welcome to apply for benefits, and then we can go through the standard process of linking it to their service. So I do want to have our team follow up with you, Diane, to make sure we got you and your husband the best information about his benefits and possible health care options. So thanks, Diane. The answer is a bill is in front of Congress. I'm unfamiliar with where it is in the process.
Thank you for the call, Diane. For our next caller, we have Bobby on the line. Bobby, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Bobby. Hello, Bobby.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. I'm all right. How are you?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Yeah, I've got several injuries that I had when I was in the military that I've never really complained about. But now as I'm getting older, I'm starting to have more problems with those injuries, like shin splints and stuff like that. And when I did my last file, they denied me any benefits for it at all because I've never complained about it. And I was just curious as to what I should do about that.
Sure, Bobby. Well, I'm really glad you asked that question. So the answer is we should figure out how we can help you. Okay, Bobby? So before I go on your general question, let me offer the following, and this is what we'll do. We'll have one of our team call you and work with you and look in on the denial you receive from us and see what's possible. I want to make sure that we understand the reason why it was denied and give you good advice, okay? So some of that advice might be, file again, and we can get you help from a service officer to help you through that process if that's something you like. Or we could talk to you about the appeals process, right, where you can come back in and appeal a decision with us. And the new appeals process, generally there's 2 lanes you can travel that will only take, by law, less than 125 days, and they're taking about 90 to 100 days right now. So it could be that's something we'd advise you to do. But let us look in on the situation and see if we can't figure out exactly what's going on, Bobby. But before we go on, and so Bobby, so we'll have somebody call you to talk to you about that. But before we go on, JP, Bobby raises a really good question about somebody coming back because as they got older, they began to realize, conditions were worsening. We encourage all our veterans, first, it's never too late, like Bobby pointed out, came out of the military young and healthy, but later he realizes he has some injuries that are playing its way out, but also to come back every 3 to 5 years, because conditions generally worsen, you could be eligible for an increase or an additional benefit. So I'm glad Bobby's doing that. We'll look in on why his claim was denied and see what help we can offer in terms of a service officer or a possible appeal.
That's great news, sir. And for our next caller, we have Chris on the line. Chris, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Chris. Hello, Chris.
Yes, sorry, I'm here.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Dr.
Oh, there
Lawrence.
you are. Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Sorry, I don't actually have a question. I actually called in about 2 months ago, and you put me in touch with Crystal from your staff, and she put me in touch with Tyler, and they actually got my backdating done that I've been fighting with the VA for 2 years. So when you guys called me, I was like, hey, let's put a little praise in here. So I just want to say thank you for your staff, Crystal. Last name starts with a C. I don't want to say it, and then Tyler
don't
from the
say
Nashville
please,
VA.
Chris. Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. That's great to hear, Chris. I'm really glad we connected. Thank you very much for letting other veterans know we do that. I'm glad we were able to work that with you. That's something we're really trying hard to up our game on. So I'm glad we got this one figured out. Really great to hear from you. I'm glad it all worked out. Thanks so much, Chris, for taking the time to connect with us and telling us all that. Really great to hear. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much for the call, Chris. And, sir, before we get back to the phones, do you have a benefits update for our audience?
Sure. As a matter of fact, we do. One of the things I want to ask our veterans about, ask their help with, and tell them about is something called the Veterans Benefits Banking Program. An awful lot of our veterans continue to receive their benefits via check or prepaid debit card. And as you can imagine, these are some of the most risky and costly ways to receive your benefits. If you receive your benefits via check and you lose the check, then we got to help you with getting a new check, and all that time you don't have your benefits, or you have to take it to a check cashing place, and there you'll pay money, your benefits, to get access to your benefits. We established the Veterans Benefits Banking Program to give our veterans access to free checking accounts at a bank or a credit union. So if you put Veterans Benefits Banking Program in your search engine, you'll be brought to a page. You'll see 33 banks and credit unions. Click on I like an account. You can see them. You'll recognize many of them. They're nationwide. They're regulated by the federal government. They have great customer service, and I think this will be better. So please, if you get your benefits via check, please get it through an electronic funds deposit. If you do a buddy check on one of your buddies and he shows you this is how I get my benefits, please encourage them to investigate the Veterans Benefits Banking Program so they can get their benefits electronically funds deposit. It is safer, and quite frankly, in this time of the world, it's just better. So please help us with that.
That's great information for our audience, sir. And going back to the phones, we have Janice on the line. Janice, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Janice.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I had surgery. I'm doing okay. I had surgery on my knee in January, and I was undergoing therapy, of course, and then COVID happened. So didn't quite receive all the therapy that I needed because I ended up being left, to do myself at home. My knee wasn't properly, so therefore not properly rehabilitated. I fell again in August. And of course now that because of COVID, we're forced back into the VA system, so I couldn't go outside the VA to get anything. This in September, I still don't have my knee brace that I need for my knee. That it's been ordered a couple of different times. Apparently, I'm supposed to be able to get temporary 100% still actually continually all this time due to the lack of everything, and I still have lack of physical therapy this time around, too. I have filed some of the paperwork on that, but how can we get this done so I can get that? And why are months not counted from the 1st to the 30th? Because you can't guarantee when you get sick or hurt or your surgery is going to be on the 1st. The 8th to the 8th should be 1 month, not the stuff to the 1st to the 30th.
Yeah, so Janice, let's pull your questions apart a couple different ways. So first, let me have someone call you so we can spend more time with you and better understand what's going on, okay? So it sounds like you have some challenges with the Veterans Health Administration, so we'll figure what these are and connect with somebody who can help you with that. I'd also ask them to investigate, what the options are to go in and get community care, because I do know that's one of the things we've been trying real hard to make available to our veterans, so I don't know the answer to that question. I'll also ask them to look in on any claims you have with us. It sounds as though you have a claim question kind of teed up there as well. How a month is counted is not the way you wish it was from the 8th to the 8th. A month is counted sort of the month of, okay? I'm sorry, that's just the rules and the laws we enforce. It's not designed to be prohibitive. It's just sort of the way it works. So, but I'll have our folks explain this to you more, Janice. So thanks for connecting. I'm sorry to hear about some of the issues with your knee and you falling and the like. Let us see what we can do. Let us figure out how we can connect you with the VHA, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you for the call, Janice. For our next caller, we have Jim on the line. Jim, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
I'm above ground, so I guess that's good.
Great. How can we help?
All right. I've got a couple of problems. One of them is I keep getting put in for an MRI because of my back. I have spinal stenosis and a disease in the deformed spine. I take the MRI, come out, I ask them, when am I going to see a neurologist? And they keep telling me that it's been too long since the MRI, I've got to go do it again, constantly. I'm a Vietnam vet, and they keep screwing around with me. I've even got locked up for extortion trying to get my disability, and now I've got the 100%, and they started it at 2004. And my last question here is, they're telling me that most of my problems are from Agent Orange. You know, 'cause I've got a bad heart, my lungs are about gone, and other problems. And I'm fighting for them to take and start paying my disability from back in 1967 when I got out of the service, because they didn't know about any of this stuff then, and it progressively gets worse until it finally hits you that you're really doing bad, and they won't take and do anything except for where you first went to them about getting the disability. And it took me 11 years.
Okay, Jim. So let's kind of pull this apart, Jim, and see how we can help. So let me see if I can kind of cut to the chase here. So we'll have one of our guys give you a call so we can look in on your situation and see what's taking place, okay? So it sounds like you either had one or two issues. So let me kind of pull this apart, and this is why our team will run you down. One is an explanation of your benefits, okay? So I really want to make sure that if it took 11 years to get this resolved, we have backdated it appropriately, okay? So it sounds like you have a question about that. I also want to make sure that you're getting the health care from us that is appropriate. So we'll follow up with you on that one too, Jim. In terms of the dating from which, you're granted benefits, it is generally not what you wish it was, which was back in the day when the injury was incurred. It's when you first approach us and file for benefits. That is generally the case, Jim. There are some exceptions, so don't hold me to this exactly. But again, when our team contacts you, I'll ask them to explain this to you so you understand it, okay? And then, quite frankly, I'll also have them talk to you about appealing, because as you know, Jim, any decision we make at the VA, you're welcome to appeal or have it reviewed. And I'll have them explain the new Appeals Modernization Act and what you can do there so it doesn't take forever. And finally, Jim, if you need some help with all this, we can reach out and connect you with our colleagues at the Tennessee Department of Veteran Services who can supply you with a service officer at no cost to help you through this. So, Jim, I'm glad we connected. Take our phone call. We'll try to figure out all the different things going on and see how we can help you.
Thank you for the call, Jim. For our next caller, we have Ty on the line. Ty, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Ty. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, sir. Can you hear me?
How can we help?
Yes, sir. So I actually have two things. I put in a claim for my neck. No. Back and right shoulder. It was back in March of this year, and I had gotten up, then done the higher review and everything, and the VA finally recognized that it didn't recognize my paperwork when I initially got out of the military, and they're going through the steps to correct it. This was back in September, so I'm still waiting, from them to either say, hey, good to go and to give me compensation, or no, it's going to take longer, or how long does it usually take after the VA pretty much recognizes that they've done a pretty much incorrect on your files, and then to backdate you for compensation?
Okay, so Ty, it sounds as though you filed a claim, you were not happy, and you went to the new appeals modernization process. You did the higher level review. That's one of the two lanes, and we've told you that in fact found a mistake, and we're going to get this all figured out. The answer I would tell you generally, Ty, and of course there's some things where it depends, is about 90 days, between 90 and 100 days. So it sounds like you're coming right up upon that, right? September, October, November. You're in the 90-day time frame. But that being said, there are some reasons why it can be more complicated, Ty. But I tell you what, you raise a good question, because we should have this done right about now-ish. I'll have one of our team give you a call and see if we can't look in on this and see what's needed, if there's anything else we need from you, and what the next steps are. So, Ty, thank you for calling in. I'm glad to hear you did the appeals modernization process and you were in our higher level review lane. And again, from September to now is a lot faster than it used to take back in the day, before appeals modernization, it took 3 to 7 years. So I'm glad to hear about that, Ty. I'm glad we connected. Let's see if we can't run this down for you. But, JP, before we go on, I do want you to know that, and let our other veterans on the phone now, that our response team has, in fact, connected with 2 of the folks we talked to earlier, who said we would follow up. Recall Marshall was one of our first folks who called in, the first veteran, and said, hey, I don't understand what happened to aid and attendance. So we've connected with him, and we're providing help filing for aid and attendance. And also Diane called. She was calling for her husband who had injuries that she thought were related to Agent Orange, and she was asking about legislation. So we're on the phone with her and providing her help with her husband's claim. So I do want our veterans to know that we do have a great team on the phone trying to reach out to our veterans and get them help with their issues as we go through this conversation.
It's great to know that our response team is making on-the-spot follow-ups. And going back to the phone, sir, we have Robert on the line next. Robert, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, Robert? How can we help?
Good. I just wanted to talk to you about the length of time it takes to finish a bachelor's degree now, and the amount of time that the GI Bill affords. The GI Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, is meant to be able to facilitate finishing a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, you can use it a bunch of different ways. You can use it that way. It is time-bound, though, right, Robert? So what's your question?
The fact that are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Robert. I'm sorry.
Okay. Have you considered the amount of time it takes to finish a bachelor's degree now? Universities are extending that, increasing the amount of credit hours that are required, yet the bachelor's degree maintains the 36 months. Has there been any discussion on extending that?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no, sir. So good question, right? So the Forever GI Bill, the Comary Act, was signed into law by the President in 2017. Okay, one of the features. So it's sort of why your question is yes and no. So the 36 months or the 48 months or whatever, I just keep my mind fuzzy on this one, has not been extended. But what the Forever GI Bill did offer, though, was 9 additional months of support for additional training in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So there was additional time provided for those very specific fields of study, Robert. But I tell you what, Robert, I can't help but think that you have a series of other questions related to that, and I want to have our team give you a phone call because I also want to let you know about other ways where our veterans get assistance with training if they do have their GI Bill benefit expired and they don't get all the way through, right? Is if you are service-connected, you can also draw on a benefit from something we call Veterans Readiness and Employment. It used to be known as Vocational Readiness and Employment. Now it's Veterans Readiness and Employment, or Vocational Rehabilitation, Vocational Rehabilitation, now it's called Veterans Readiness. There's additional benefits and support there for training and education as well, Robert. So again, let us have our team call you, but the answer is, no, it hasn't been extended, but there is additional 9 months, and we urge our veterans to look into Veterans Readiness and Employment. And again, all of this is on our website too, Robert. So we'll have someone call you and see if we can help figure out what an appropriate path for you is.
Thank you for the call, Robert. For our next caller, we have Alan on the line. Alan, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Alan.
Hi.
How you
doing? Can
you
hear me? I'm doing good.
Yes, I can. How you?
To make this quick, I recently have been declared 100% disabled, 90% from my blindness because of the chemicals I dealt with for 24 years in the military. Then they tell me I was awarded a lower grant to adaptive housing to come in. They said just find a contractor. I did. Then they call back and say no, they stopped that. You now automatically qualify for the higher grant, which is more money. Then I get a call saying, no, you don't qualify. I said, but you said I'm 100% disabled, 90% blind. Well, you're going to have to resubmit the paperwork. Basically, me and my wife are pulling our hair out because of all the red tape coming out of Georgia. I believe that's where, Decatur, Georgia, that controls these lower grants. We don't know what to do. I'm blind, and we just don't know what to do. My second problem is that I'm trying to get my wife qualified to be a caregiver. And you won't believe all the red tape we're going through. And we're just about ready to give up. They know I'm blind. It's in my medical records now. But then they keep calling and questioning and doing this and doing that. I don't know what else to give them. So those are two major issues that we're just about ready to give up and just, I guess, live our life.
Okay, Alan, well, please don't do that, and I'm really glad we connected. Let's figure out how we're going to help you, okay? So I'm going to talk about the issues broadly, but first here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have one of our team give you a call, and we're going to figure this one out, okay? I'm sorry to hear that the specially adapted housing grant is turned into such a back and forth, and you're frustrated with the resubmission of paperwork, okay? Let me get one of our folks from SAH, the SAH team, to give you a call and see if we can't resolve this as quickly as possible, okay? I'll also see if we can't figure out what's going on with your relationship with the caregiver program. Now, you'll have to bear with us a little bit. That's administered by the Veterans Health Administration, so we will work with you to figure that one out with them, Alan, but again, bear with us while we do that. But I'll also ask our guys to talk to you about something that we administer called aid and attendance, okay? Now, I know caregivers might be more generous and more appropriate for your situation, but we'll also have them talk to you about that, Alan. And finally, given that this paperwork can be tedious and the like, we will offer, and you can figure out if you want this or not, to connect you with our colleagues at the Tennessee Department of Veteran Services. They have service officers that help our veterans with the paperwork and submission and some of the things that you might be finding challenging. Perhaps you're really good at it and it's just, our complicated processes that are taking it out of you, or if not, we can get someone to help you to do that, Alan. So I'm really glad you connected. I do want you to know the SAH program the size of the grant has increased. It is a very, very positive thing for our veterans. I do know working with contractors can sometimes be difficult, but we'll see what we can do to help you, Alan. Thank you for connecting. Please don't give up. Let us kind of figure out what we can do to help you through this process. I'm glad you've talked to us. Let's see what we can do. We'll reach out and try to get this straightened out as soon as we can.
Thank you for the call, Alan. For our next caller, we have Kyle on the line. Kyle, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Dr. Lawrence. How you doing today?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
I was calling because I had a question. It kind of touches on what Jim was talking about earlier as far as when we get service connected, when we applied for the paperwork, when we did the paperwork instead of back to when we got out of service. I've been fighting this for 15 years, tooth and nail, trying to get service connected on injuries from being airborne, and there's no, my medical records, some of them have just disappeared. I have firsthand statements from people I served with attesting to my injuries, but the VA says, no, it never happened because it's not in the paperwork. So I'm still trying to figure that out.
Sure, Kyle. Okay, Kyle, so let's see what's going on here, okay? So you're asking a bunch of different questions, and so I'm going to give you some general answers, but everything is case-specific. So to really appreciate your situation, we're going to have one of our team give you a call because I think it's important we look in on your records and better understand what's taking place. But let me provide two general bits of information, Kyle, and again, we're going to follow up with you and see how we make this right given the situation you experienced, okay? So you asked two broad questions. When was the date my benefits began, even though I was injured, years before? The date from which your benefits began is it could begin is from the date you first file. So if it takes us 5 years to get it right and we owe you money back, we go back 5 years, okay? That's generally the rule, Kyle, but again, we're looking on your situation. The other situation you're describing is, again, one of our things our veterans commonly have to deal with is, okay, I did not report this incident back in the day. It was in combat, or I just didn't feel it or the like, and so it's not in my medical records. You made reference to something we talk about, which is called a buddy statement, where you find somebody who served with you to attest to the fact that this did happen. That allows us to establish that it happened while you were in service, it does not establish the date, because generally that's when you applied for benefits, Kyle. But Kyle, those are broad answers to complicated questions you're asking, which are specific to your case. Let us have one of our team call you, Kyle, look in on this, and figure out what's really taking place. And I want you to know I'm airborne qualified. One of the two people in this room helping me is airborne qualified. We appreciate the situation you're describing. We'll see what we can do, Kyle. Let's see what we can do. Our team will call, explain this to you, and see what we can take care, what's possible, Kyle. So thank you, Kyle, for your question. Let us get in touch with you and see what's possible.
Thank you for the call, Kyle. And, sir, before we go back to the phones, do you have another benefits update for our audience?
Yes, I do. Thank you, JP. We are trying to find our homeless veterans. So if you are homeless and you are listening to this phone call, or if you see somebody who you think might be a homeless veteran, please call this number. It's our homeless hotline, 877-424-3838. And again, I'll say it twice. Our homeless hotline, 877-424-3838. If you're homeless, they'll connect with you, try to figure out what resources are appropriate and what to help. But if you see somebody who might be a homeless veteran, they will ask for the location, and someone from the VA will go there and better understand if they are a veteran and what resources could be available. So we're really asking for all our veterans' help, finding our homeless veterans and getting them resources. And I do want you to know there are resources available. There are even more in the CARES Act the President signed in the spring and the summer to provide resources and help for our homeless veterans. So again, please call our homeless hotline if you are or you see someone who might be a homeless veteran.
Thank you for that information, sir. Going back to the phones, we have Richard on the line. Richard, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you for your service and your time, sir.
Thank you. How can we help?
My wife of 24 years unfortunately passed away last month. And I was told that the survivor benefit plan that I paid into, that I could recoup the 10 years of monthly payments that I paid into it. I'm not sure where to send her death certificate to.
Okay, so it sounds like that's us. That's us. And so a couple things, Richard. So first, we're very sorry about your loss. And I'm glad you're connecting so we can make sure we get this right and help you through this process. So I'll have one of our team give you a phone call so that we get you the right information. I mean, there's survivor benefits insurance, there's survivor benefits things, and I also want to make sure we understand your situation so we look into all the benefits that might be appropriate given your situation. So I'm really glad we're connected. Let us get somebody on the phone with you who can give you exact information, and quite frankly, Richard, who can look in on the overall situation and see if there's other questions or other benefits we should be helping you with. And if appropriate, we might even connect you with the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services. I'm not aware off the top of my head if there aren't other benefits available from the state of Tennessee. Don't want to overpromise, but I also want to make sure we look and help you with that. So thank you, Richard, for connecting. Again, we're very sorry for your loss. Let us see how we can help and get you the right location for getting your money or your benefits or what's appropriate.
Truly appreciate your time, Richard. For our next caller, we have Greg on the line. Greg, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Dr. Lawrence. Good evening. How are you?
Good, thanks. How can we help? I understand we got quite a series of issues with you.
Yes, we do. I'm a little bit disappointed in the VA, to be very honest with you. I retired from the Navy after 40 years of service in 2011. And I was denied disability benefits not once but twice. I had to get an attorney who's going to get 20% of my benefits because the VA wouldn't pay me out. Here's the issue. I was just granted, after 10 years, 90% disability this past May. 6 months later, I still do not have the back pay, Dr. Lawrence. So I'm really don't have much hope of getting it, to be very honest with you, because I don't have a high opinion of the Veterans Administration. Can you help me?
Yes, I can. Okay, so first, I'm sorry. I deeply regret the journey you traveled. You're right, 10 years is a long time, and I'm always disappointed to hear when our veterans had to get lawyers to help them through the process. It's very disappointing to hear about it. Now, a couple of explanations as to why the back pay hasn't been done, Greg. One could be our issues One could be our issues, and that's something I can control and we can figure out. So we're going to have someone call you and better understand what's taking place. The other is, and I'm not pointing fingers, Greg, but I'm merely explaining, when one of our veterans hires a lawyer, okay, and the lawyer is going to be paid money, we actually have to make that payment. So often, occasionally, let me be careful here, Greg, occasionally there are situations where that agreement causes us some challenges to work through. So it could be one of two things, Greg, and we will go investigate this and we will work with you to explain what it is. Ideally, it's our situation. We'll fix it and hope we can begin to re-earn your trust. But if not, we'll explain to you what's taking so long and when it's going to be resolved. So I'm glad you had the patience to work through this, Greg. Appreciate your professionalism in describing this to us. This is not typical of what goes on now, Greg. So other veterans are listening. That we're handling things much more promptly. I know you did not go into the situation you experienced. It could be very complicated, and it could have been explained by that. But thank you, Greg, for connecting. Let us see if we can't figure this one out, how we get you your money, get your retro benefits, and why it's taking so long. We'll call you. We'll better understand what took place.
We appreciate your time, Greg. For our next caller, we have Billy on the line. Billy, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Billy.
Hey, Dr. Lawrence. My question concerns retrieval of medical records. I retired in 1988 and continued receiving treatment for lower back injury at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. But they subsequently stopped treating retirees, and they shipped my medical records to a national archive, and my local VA office requested those records back in November of last year. I even have the shelf number and box number, supposedly where these records are located, and these records would validate treatment after I retired of my back injury for my back claim. And I'm wondering how I could go about following up to get these particular records from Redstone Arsenal.
Sure, Billy. Okay, so the answer is I'm glad we connected because we're going to figure this one out with you and for you, okay? So I'm going to have one of our team call you and get the information and better understand what's taking place in your particular situation. But having said that, Billy, let me explain what's going on. So you're right. Records get shipped to what's called the National Personnel Records Center in St. Louis. It's run by the National Archives, okay? So for something this long, this is a little unusual, to be honest with you. But like everybody else, they were delayed with the pandemic. So St. Louis is having a difficult time with COVID, if this is the center you're talking about, with COVID. They reopened, and now they're closing back down. We've had our folks going in there from the Veterans Benefits Administration to retrieve the records for exactly this situation. So it has taken a little bit longer than normal because of the pandemic, but even that doesn't explain from November of last year. So, Billy, let us get that information and see if we can't find these and move you through the process. Again, it is a little bit difficult by virtue of these being run by somebody else and, them in a difficult part of the country pandemic-wise. So, Billy, let us follow up with you. The answer is we'll work with you to figure this one out, see if we can't get the records to help you move along through the claims process. And unfortunately, Bill, your situation is not different than many of our veterans. We're trying to get those records out as fast as possible, get them into the claims file, and figure out what benefits we can grant to our veterans. So thank you for your patience, Billy. I'm glad we connected. We'll look in on this, see if we can't find your records and get your file moving along.
Thank you for the call, Billy. And, sir, before we go back to the phones, do you have one more benefits update for our audience?
Sure. I just want to remind the veterans who have had a debt established with the VA, what some possibilities are. So, for example, if we overpaid you or there was an offset when you retired, you end up owing us money, a debt, and so we're taking that money back over time. If you have a debt established with us during this period of time of the pandemic, we can't stop the debt, but we can give a relief or suspension. So, and you can do that by calling our Debt Management Center at 800-827-0648. Again, if you'd like to have your debt payments renegotiated, you can delay them, you can decrease them. We can't stop them forever, but you can do that by calling our Debt Management Center, 800-827-0648.
That's a great piece of information for our audience, sir. And going back to the phones, we have Sasha on the line. Sasha, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Sasha. Hello, Sasha. Hi, Sasha.
And it appears we may have lost Sasha, so we'll move to our next caller, which is Marshalia. Marshalia, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Marshalia.
Hello?
Hello. Oh, there
you
you
hear
are.
me?
Hey, how you doing? Yes, I can. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I had a question about voc rehab. I stay in the state of Tennessee now, and was trying to get benefits as far as my therapist said maybe I need to find something else for my job because I got so many triggers because of my PTSD, and I wanted to see if I could do the voc rehab, but the young lady, I don't understand about it at all. But the young lady told me at the regional office that, well, you need to be having issues with your job, which I was having issues and all that, and you basically need to be fired to get it. And I'm in this Facebook group that deals with the voc rehab, and I've seen people get master's degrees with voc rehab, this, that, and the other. And I was just wondering, is it state to state different? Because I thought this was a federal program, and just to go and try to get it and do an appeal just to get it and all that is kind of frustrating when you see people that go ahead and they could get it and they can go and get their bachelor's and their master's with it, and look at me trying to do something different so I can cope with my PTSD.
Sure, Marshall. Yeah. So the answer to your question is no. It is exactly what you said. It is a program run by us, and there's not supposed to be variations across the different places that administer it. Okay. So let's see what we can do, Marshalia, because it is exactly available for veterans to do what you're doing, right? Which is retraining, as far as our veterans that are service connected, who want to retrain or retool or do different things with their life, because don't forget, it's veterans. We changed the name from vocational rehabilitation and employment to veterans readiness and employment, because it is employment or independent living or things like that this is supposed to be the benefit that helps our veterans achieve, okay? So I'm frustrated by what you've described, because I know we spend an awful lot of time with our team making sure that we explain what the possibilities are. It's for veterans at different stages. That's what's appropriate. And what happens is when you apply, there's supposed to be a series of, information exchange, so we see what's appropriate for each specific veteran. But that being described, Marshall, I'm sorry to hear about what took place. Sounds like something's gone haywire in our process that you got that information. Let us see if we can't have somebody call you and better talk you through what's possible for veterans readiness and employment, what took place. It sounds like if you'd made an application, an appeal might be necessary, but we can look in on this, Marshalia, and see what makes some sense given your situation. So we'll call you, we'll get some people from Voc Rehab on Veterans Readiness on the phone with you, and see if we can't figure out a path forward for you.
Thank you for the call, Marshalia. For our next caller, we have CJ on the line. CJ, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, CJ.
Hello, doctor. How are you today?
Good, thanks. How can we help?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and your team of people. I think this program is absolutely an excellent way to connect with us veterans out here. And I also want to thank all of my brothers and sisters out there that have served and are still serving. I'm calling because of a situation that I find myself in that has been very disappointing and ongoing for quite a few years now. In 2014, I had returned from Afghanistan with some injuries from an accident in a helicopter. And that's not the reason that I'm calling, but that is when I connected with the VA. And we were encouraged to do so at Fort Hood by a number of VSOs that came to speak with us, and I appreciate their efforts as well. Anyway, what has happened is I have applied for compensation when I developed an asthma and bronchitis problem and then pneumonia. I had gone to our state flight surgeon here in Tennessee and talked to him about it, and he said, well, once you have scarring in your lungs, often you will have respiratory problems. I had none before 2010, and the time frame that I'm talking about is a 2010 time frame, January, February, at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I had submitted for this asthma and bronchitis to the VA and with a copy of my Title 10 orders at the time. And that was around late 2014, just starting into 2015 when that submission went in. It was denied, and of course I did it again, and it was denied again. And it has been recently denied a third time, and I've been told by the DVA that I was on state active duty orders, not federal, even though I submitted the Title 10 active duty orders. And so the disappointment on my part is that it keeps getting denied. I had somebody, I think it was an ombudsman at Fort Campbell, tell me, and I'm going to ask you this question because I'm hoping you can tell me this is the right answer. He told me to call Fort Sill and see if I can't find somebody that issues DD-214s. Well, I have several DD-214s from my service years. And I did that, and I finally got a hold of a gentleman that issues, he's the chief of the section or the department at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, that issues DD-214s. After speaking with him and telling him the time frame, giving him my social security number, he said, you'll never get a DD-214. And I asked him why, and he said, because you were here under 90 days. He said, you will get a DD-220. And he said, the DD-220 is the answer to your problem. And I about fell out of my chair when I was speaking with him over that. And I'm calling where I work. I've asked many of my fellow employees, supervisors, and on up, if they have ever seen the DD-220. And I have had very few positives, and I'm not even sure they were positives that they had seen them or even knew of the DD-220. So part of the reason for my question is to find out if you can confirm that before I do another submission, and then also to get the word out to those who are in the National Guard that may be called to active duty, and they're issued a DD-220 because they were someplace under 90 days. I did 10 years active duty in the 80s and was out for many years and then joined the National Guard about 10 years ago. And that's when this incident occurred. And so I've been plagued with the asthma monthly. The VA fills my prescription for the asthma, and so it's been a constant disappointment to see it go that direction. I do have other questions too, but I don't want to.
Yeah, CJ. So I tell you what, CJ, we're going to have someone call you because you're pointing out a particularly complex situation we find ourselves with, right? Which is
yes, sir.
National Guard, right? So the National Guard has some very special rules, and these are laws, CJ, that we don't control. These are just laws, and it has to do with your service. But I know you've gotten a couple DD-214s. It probably has some other forms. So I'd like to have our team look in on this and make sure that we're following the rules in terms of if we're denying you or not, or denying you, and I'm explaining that to you and see what's possible, because you may very well find yourself in a difficult situation by virtue of your service. That is one possible explanation. The other possible explanation may be your situation is so complicated we haven't truly appreciated it, and there could be some issues there. 2014, when you began this journey with us, we were a little different place in terms of our use of technology and our ability to figure these things out. So I would like to have some of our team call you, CJ, and see what's possible to better understand the situation you're finding yourself in. In terms of your counsel to your other National Guard brethren, again, this is a law, not us, and this is something we've actually worked with the leadership of the National Guard to get changed so that their benefits conditions for our veterans who serve in the National Guard are more straightforward and aligned to what goes on if you serve in the, let's call it the active Army or so. So you're right, CJ. I can understand the complexity. I'm glad you're only disappointed. Let's see if we can't figure this one out and get you to a good place. Let's have somebody call. I'd ask for a little bit of patience, CJ. This may take a little while for us to unravel and figure out how to explain to you. So thank you very much, CJ, for your service, and let's see what's going on.
Thank you for the call, CJ. Excuse me. For our next caller, we have Robert on the line. Robert, you're live with Dr. Lawrence.
Hi, Robert.
Hi there.
Hello,
my question is...
Hey, how you...
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. My question is about the post 9/11 GI Bill. With schools currently refusing to, or colleges letting us go on campus for classes and everything be online, I am happy the fact that the VA is still paying BAH for many of the classes as long as they're over Zoom and not a pure online curriculum. However, my question is, this is a very difficult time for a lot of veterans that have difficulties being isolated and stuck in their house. And the VA, I'm curious if they've considered lowering the required amount of credit hours per semester in order to still receive the full amount of benefits, because my school personally will not let us go on campus at all. But taking 4 classes online and sitting alone in my home all week completely defeated the purpose of me getting back out and going to school and interacting with people. And it's something I'm really concerned about, not just for myself, but for other veterans that may be in the same position. Is that something the VA is going to consider if this COVID crisis continues to shut down schools and makes us have to do everything online at home?
So Robert, really good question. A couple answers to your question is, a lot of the rules you're asking about are actually laws, okay? So I don't know exactly how much flexibility we have with that, okay? Okay, Robert, but I do know that our education team is working some of these through, and I would like them to call and talk to you to make sure I don't know what advice they've given to others in this situation, Robert, and I know it sort of depends upon where you are in your state and the like, what's going on there. So I'd like to have our education team give you a call and make sure we're answering the right question to you in terms of maybe what are your other options in terms of getting in-person education. But I know you're kind of touching on another issue, Robert, which has to do with the isolation of all our veterans during this period of time, whether it's because of education and the like. And I do want, and this is kind of, maybe an extreme measure, but I do want to point out our crisis hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Sorry, Robert, 1-800-273-8255. If you ever find yourself in crisis, please call this number. Don't feel you're alone. You'll be answered by real people. Maybe we won't be able to solve your education problem right away, but we can certainly let you know there are people here who understand the situation you could potentially find yourself in. So thank you, Robert. I'll have one of our education team give you a phone call and see if there aren't some possibilities that I'm just not aware of, and see what's available for you. So thank you, Robert.
Thank you for the call, Robert. And, sir, that was our last question. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Boy, JP, the time went by really, really fast. I can't believe the hour's up already. Thanks to everyone who called in. Really appreciate it. Special thanks to those who ask us good questions. Really give us a sense about what veterans need from us in terms of communication and support. And as you heard, we promised to follow up with folks. Couple we got early on the phone call. Our response team just got me more information. We were on the phone with Bobby, a veteran who wanted help with his claim, and then we're on with John, who didn't make it on to the phone call because he was in crisis. So we've gotten him to the crisis, and we're getting crisis hotline, and we're providing assistance with him and resources. So again, I do want you to know that if you do find yourself in a difficult situation, we don't bring you on, we just deal with him. So again, thanks for everyone calling in, to giving us the opportunity to solve your problems and get you the benefits you've earned. Quite frankly, giving us a second chance to solve your problems again if that's what it is. Thanks also to the state, the Tennessee Department of Veteran Services. Really appreciate their partnership and collaboration. I like to think that between the Veterans Benefits Administration and the Tennessee Department of Veteran Services, we're one team with one mission to serve our veterans. You can get them by calling them at 803-734-0200. Special thanks to Commissioner Courtney Rogers and Assistant Commissioner Travis Murphy for their help in setting this up and undoubtedly in following up afterwards. So I know, JP, you're going to go through and give our social media accounts so folks can stay connected with us and follow us. I'm on LinkedIn, social media. LinkedIn is my name. I try to post important items about what's going on in VBA and information folks can use. You're welcome to follow me or connect with me. And again, every Friday at noon, I post a short video about VBA called News You Can Use in 10 minutes. So thanks to everyone who joined in and participated. Thanks for the folks who asked questions. For those of you we promised we'll be following up, we'll be doing so, if not later today, certainly tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. I just want to remind everyone how you can get more information on any VA program. You can visit us at va.gov, that's victoralpha.gov, or call us at 1-800-827-1000. A recording of this event will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow by noontime. And to follow us on YouTube and Facebook, search Veterans Benefits Administration, on Twitter at VA Vet Benefits, and on Instagram, VA Benefits. This concludes our Tele-Town Hall for Tennessee. A big thank you to all the veterans and family members that called in. Good night.